Okay, so we are Be'ezrat Hashem doing Daf Samech Zayin Amud Aleph today by the Mishnah. So Samech Zayin Amud Aleph. A few lines down, there is a Mishnah. So says the Mishnah, Bat Yisrael sheniset lekohen. So if you have a Bat Yisrael who marries a Kohen, Vemet, and the Kohen is Niftar, the Kohen dies. Veinicha meuberet, and he leaves her pregnant. So now, just the background information is a woman who was married to a Kohen, she's allowed to, just the same way that the Kohen is allowed to eat Truma, she is allowed to eat Truma because she is Kinyan Kaspo. Once the Kohen dies, then she's no longer allowed to eat Truma unless she has a child. If she has a child from the Kohen, then she's allowed to eat Truma. Now over here we're talking about a case where she already has children from the Kohen, she could eat Truma. The question is the avadim that she brought into the marriage. Let's say when she brought into the marriage, her father gave her avadim to bring into the marriage. There are two types of avadim that she could bring in. One is called nechsei tzon barzel. One is called nechsei melug. This was we covered in the last daf. So basically one type of item that she could bring in is it's evaluated and the husband takes full responsibility. Those are viewed like his. The other type of item that she could bring in, or eved that she could bring in, is it's not evaluated and the husband is not accepting on himself to pay the amount that they're worth at the time of the ketubah. It's hers. If they go up in value, she takes them back. If they go down in value, she takes them back. And she takes the profit or the loss. So those types of avadim are really hers. So says the Mishnah, Bat Yisrael sheniset lekohen vemet. So Bat Yisrael married a Kohen and he died. V'inicha be'umberet, and he left her pregnant. So she's allowed to eat truma because she may have other sons. If we're talking about a case, even if she has other sons, she could eat truma. But lo yochlu avadeha betruma. The avadim cannot eat truma. Why? Mibnei shechelko shel ubar, because the avadim belong to the yorshim. They belong to the ones who inherit the husband, the sons, and one of these sons is the ubar, is the fetus. So the fetus, it has a portion in this inheritance also. Therefore, he has a portion of these avadim. One of these avadim may go to him. Therefore, that eved cannot eat truma because he is an eved. He's mishuba to an ubar, to a fetus, and a fetus cannot feed truma. So it's gonna become a little bit more. We're gonna explain more in the Gemara. Ubar posel ve'enu ma'achil. That an ubar.
When he's born, can he eat?
Yeah, until he's born. And once he's born, then the avadim can eat. So ubar posel ve'enu ma'achil. An ubar, a fetus could be posel, but he can from eating truma, but he cannot be ma'achil. Rashi explains that this case is that an ubar, let's say you have a mother who she's a bat kohen and she's married to a Yisrael. So if the Yisrael passes away, she's allowed to eat truma now. She can go to her father's house and eat truma. But if she's pregnant, she cannot eat truma, because the ubar will be posel her from eating truma, ve'eno ma'achil, and it's not ma'achil. It won't allow someone to eat if she's married to a kohen. It was a bat Yisrael, let's say, who's married to a kohen. She cannot eat truma if she's just pregnant. She has to actually have a child. Divrei Rabbi Yossi. This is all the opinion of Rabbi Yossi. So Amru lo machar shehe'adta lanu al bat Yisrael lekohen af bat kohen lekohen vemet v'nicha meuberet lo yochlu avadea b'truma mnechel kol shel ubar. So Chachamim told Rabbi Yossi, they said, listen, if you're telling me that a fetus does not have the ability to allow to feed someone truma, so why are you talking about a case where you have a bat kohen, a bat Yisrael, who marries a kohen, and then the kohen dies, so that fetus owns a portion of the avadim, and therefore the avadim cannot eat truma, because who cares who the mother is? The mother could be a bat kohen also. if you're telling me a fetus doesn't have the power to feed truma, and the fetus owns parts of these avadim, so why do I care who the mother is? That was the Chachamim's counter argument to Rabbi Yossi. So it's going to become a little bit more clear in the Gemara. Ibaya lahu. Ta'amad Rabbi Yossi mishum de kasavar ubar b'me'ez zara zarhu o dilma yilud ma'achil she'eno yilud eno ma'achil. The Gemara wants to know, what's Rabbi Yossi's reasoning? Again, Rabbi Yossi holds that if Bat Kohen, Bat Yisrael, marries a Kohen, and she has a bunch of children from him, and he passes away when she's pregnant, the avadim that the Kohen leaves behind cannot eat truma. Why? Because the fetus owns parts of those avadim. So the Gemara wants to know, what's the reason of Rabbi Yossi? Is it because he holds ubar b'me'ez zara zarhu? Because he holds that it's true, the children of a Kohen are a Kohen, but a fetus has the status of its mother, and its mother is officially a non-Kohen. She's married to a Kohen, but she's officially a Bat Yisrael. So the fetus also has a status of a Bat Yisrael. Boker Tov. That's option number one. And that's why they cannot eat Truma, because the fetus has a status of a Bat Yisrael, because the fetus of a Bat Yisrael. Or Ben, whatever. The fetus doesn't have the status of a Kohen. It has the status of a Zar, because the fetus is part of someone who's a Bat Yisrael.
What if she's a Bat Kohen?
Right. So in that case, if she's a Bat Kohen, then the fetus would be allowed to feed truma.
So why is there some sort of havamina that they're like?
So this is just one option. The Gemara is just trying to think, what does Rabbi Yossi hold? Does Rabbi Yossi hold that the fetus cannot feed truma because of this reason, because it's a fetus of a Bat Yisrael specifically?
Well, why did someone ask the question about this Bat Kohen? Like why it matters? I mean, the Bat Yisrael, why it matters? I mean, obviously it matters.
So that's
question.
No. That question is obviously not assuming that this is the reasoning of Rabbi Yossi. The Gemara is gonna become clear in the next couple of steps, right? Or maybe it's just any fetus cannot feed truma. A person can only cause the avadim to eat truma if they're alive. So yilud ma'achil, someone who's born, he can cause someone to eat truma, but Eino Yulud, someone who is not born, who's just a fetus, Eino Ma'achil. And it doesn't matter if it's a fetus in the womb of a Bat Yisrael or of a Bat Kohen. It doesn't make a difference, according to this reason. Any fetus can't cause its Yerusha to eat Truma. So it says the Gemara, Lemay Nafkamina. What would the difference be between these two reasons? Leubar b'me'e kohenet. It would be the nafkamina would be this case in ubar, fetus in the womb of a kohenet, right? Because if you hold that the reason is that the ubar, the fetus, is a zar, so that's not true over here. Therefore, the avadim could eat truma in such a case. But if you hold the reason of Rabbi Yossi is that something that's not living fully, that's not out in the world, it's not a yalud, it's not something that was born, can't cause truma to be eaten. If that's the case, so then this is something that's not out in the world. It can't cause truma to be eaten. So the Gemara says, "Mai, what's the halacha?" So Amar Rabba, Hainu ta'ama de Rabbi Yossi. The following is the reason of Rabbi Yossi. The kasavar ubar b'mei zara zarhu. Rabba holds the reason of Rabbi Yossi is that an ubar b'me'ez zara zar, because the mother is a Bat Yisrael. Rav Yosef amar yilud ma'achil she'enu yilud ma'eno ma'achil. Rav Yosef says no. The reason of Rabbi Yossi is because only something which is alive can feed truma, can cause something else to eat truma, but something that's not alive cannot cause truma to be eaten. So meitve, the Gemara asks on this now. Amru le Rabbi Yossi ma'achar she'ada lanu Bat Yisrael lekohen ubat kohen lekohen. Bat Kohen LeKohen Mao. So the Chachamim said to Rabbi Yossi, they said, you told us a case of a Bat Yisrael to a Kohen. That a Bat Yisrael marries a Kohen, and when he passes away, she's pregnant, that Ubar cannot cause the Avadim to eat Truma. So you told us about Bat Yisrael Kohen. What about a Bat Kohen LeKohen? So Amar Lehem Zu Shamati V'Zu Lo Shamati. So Rabbi Yossi said, to them, I heard about a Bat Yisrael to a Kohen, but Zu lo shamati. I never heard that if a Bat Kohen married a Kohen and he left her pregnant, the Avadim cannot eat Truma. I never heard that. So this sounds very much like the first reason. Right? Amrit bishlamam ubar b'me'ezara zarhu. If you hold the reason that the fetus cannot feed Truma to the Avadim is because the fetus has the status of a zar, because the mother is a non-Kohen. So I knew the kamar zu shamati zulo shamati. That's why Rabbi Yossi is saying his halacha specifically by a Bat Yisrael and not a Bat Kohen. And he says, I never heard this would be true by a Bat Kohen.
Why is there any question? I don't understand. There's people asking dumb questions.
No.
I don't understand why. Why is there any question? I don't understand.
Because the Gemara is proving that Rabbi Yossi's halacha was specific to a Bat Yisrael, because Rabbi Yossi said, Zu shamati, zu lo shamati. I never heard that this should be true by a Bat Kohen.
Yeah.
So once we know that that's what Rabbi Yossi holds, so then that's a proof that the reasoning of Rabbi Yossi is that the fetus has a status of
what's the
zar.
alternative creative idea that they're coming
It could be that Rabbi Yossi just said his example by Bat Yisrael, but it's true by Bat Kohen also.
How?
I mean, how? It could be that the reasoning
Bat Kohen
is
automatically gets Truma, right? Unless she marries someone who's not a Kohen, right?
Yes.
So then that doesn't.
No, the question that she would have married a Bat Kohen would marry a Yisrael. She would marry a Kohen.
Yeah.
And then when he dies, if he leaves her pregnant, that ubar, that fetus, has a portion of the Yerusha. Some of the Avadim.
She's eating something, you mean?
No, forget about what she's eating. The fetus has a portion of what the father leaves behind. Every child has a portion of what the father leaves behind, including this fetus. And if a fetus has a portion of that, if you hold yulud, sheino yulud, eino ma'achil, any portion that could potentially belong to the fetus will cause it to not be able to eat truma, even though the fetus is technically a kohen and the mother is a kohen. But there's a rule from a pasuk that it says yilid beito hem yochlu b'lachmo, that only something that's not born cannot feed truma, and he has a portion of this, and therefore he cannot feed truma. So Ella, the Gemara says that, at this point the Gemara is trying to prove that the reasoning of Rabbi Yossi is specifically because the mother is a Bat Yisrael. So Ella amrid yilud ma'achil.
It's considered not a Kohen until it's born.
It's with regards to being able to feed truma, at least, because that we have a pasuk that says yelid beito, that once they're born. So Ela'i amrid yilud ma'achil she'enu yilud el ma'achil. But if you say the reasoning of Rabbi Yossi is it doesn't matter if the mother is a kohen or not, a bat kohen or not, the point is that the fetus, whether it's a fetus of a bat kohen or the fetus of a bat Yisrael married to a kohen, it doesn't make a difference. The fetus is not able to cause, it'll block the avadim that are part of its Yerusha from eating truma. So maizu shamati vezulo shamati ihihi. Why would Rabbi Yossi say, oh, I never heard this should be true by a bat kohen? Ihi, it's the same halacha. So the Gemara says, Kasha, you're right, that's a good question. We have this braita that kind of, not fully disproves, but it's a good question on the opinion that says that Rabbi Yossi's reasoning is because yilud ma'achil, she'enu yilud eino ma'achil. According to that reasoning, this braita seems to contradict that. Therefore, we have a kasha. Okay. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shemuel. Zu divrei Rabbi Yossi. That, which we said in the Mishnah, this is Rabbi Yossi's opinion. So again, what was the case? You have a Bat Yisrael married to a Kohen. The Kohen passes away, and he leaves her with pregnant. So let's say he has other children that are Yoresh also, but the baby that's in the mother's womb that's not alive yet is also supposed to have a portion of the avadim that the father leaves over, and the child, the baby, is not able, or whatever, the fetus is not able to feed them truma, and because he has a portion in the avadim, he blocks them from eating truma until he's born, because his kinyan, or the kinyan that belongs to him, cannot eat truma because he's not born yet.
The other sibling, they could feed
The other siblings have a kinyan also, but Rabbi Yossi holds since he has a portion, nobody can eat until he's born. I don't care that the other brothers also have a portion. Now the Gemara says Chachamim argue, and they say no. Once any child has a portion, then that's it. We don't worry about the baby. The kinyan, the baby cannot have a kinyan on them to
because
block
they
it.
think maybe the baby's not going to be alive by the time they come
Forget
out.
about that's going to come up later. They're not being alive, but the fetus, the Chachamim, the Rabbi Yossi holds
Maybe
the
the fetus has the same
The fetus
situation.
has a kinyan on them, has a kinyan on the avadim.
I know the fetus has that power.
Yeah, that's according to Rabbi Yossi. The fetus has a kinyan on the avadim, and the Chachamim are going to argue. Let's read it inside and explain. So Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel Zudi Rabbi Yossi.
The fetus will inherit these. It wouldn't go to his wife.
It'll go. We're talking about a case where there's other sons also, and there's a fetus also. So everything's gonna get split, and the fetus also is gonna have a portion. So Zudi Rabbi Yossi. Chachamim omrim yesh lo banim ochlim mishum banim. Chachamim say if there are other sons, the avadim eat because of the sons. The ubar doesn't have a portion. He doesn't have a kinyan in those avadim. Ein lo banim ochlim mishum achim. Even if the guy doesn't have sons, but he has brothers that will inherit him, so the fetus doesn't have a kinyan in those avadim. Ein lo achim. Before, forget about when it's born, but at least
When it's born, they've already split everything up too late.
Okay, that's not so much our sugya.
No.
Not really. Our sugya is talking about when she's pregnant. So ein lo achim. If he doesn't have any brothers, ochlim mishum mishpacha kula. There must be some relative that is yoresh him that will cause the avadim to eat truma. That's going to be a kohen, and the ubar doesn't necessarily have a kinyan in the avadim. So this is what Shmuel said. He said this is Rabbi Yossi. This is the opinion of Rabbi Yossi, but Chachamim argue. So it sounds like Shmuel holds like Chachamim, right? Just the machloket here is Rabbi Yossi holds that the ubar, the fetus, has a kinyan. When the father passes away, the fetus has a kinyan in the avadim, and that kinyan that the fetus has prevents the avadim from eating truma. And the Chachamim argue. So Shmuel said, "Oh, this is Rabbi Yossi's opinion," but Chachamim argue. That sounds very much like he holds like the Chachamim.
Can she eat truma since he can't eat truma? Because it would go. He benefits from her eating when she's pregnant, right?
Who benefits?
The ubar is in her.
Yeah, no. If she has other children, she's allowed to eat.
Even though the ubar is benefiting from it, it's just about putting it in your mouth. That's it.
Yes. Well, the ubar, it's about being able to feed other things. The ubar has a kinyan in the avadim. We're not talking about the ubar himself eating. We're talking about the ubar having a kinyan in the avadim. So says the Gemara, zu velo svirale. It sounds like when Shmuel said, "Oh, this is what Rabbi Yossi holds," but Chachamim argue. It sounds like he doesn't hold of Rabbi Yossi. He's saying, "Oh, that's Rabbi Yossi's opinion," but Chachamim argue. So Ha'amar le Shmuel Rav Chana Bagdata. Shmuel says to Rav Chana Bagdata, Rashi says from a town called Baghdad, Pok aiti li be'asara. He says, go bring me 10 people. That I'm going to declare in front of them, in front of everybody, the following, that hamzakeu leubar kana, that basically an ubar can have a kinyan. If someone is mizakeh something to an ubar, it will be reserved for that ubar, for that fetus. So what do you see? He holds that an ubar can have a kinyan. So how could he say, "Oh, this is Rabbi Yossi's opinion"? Chachamim argue. He holds like Rabbi Yossi also. So the Gemara says, "You're right. He holds like Rabbi Yossi." So my kavash malan, what's he coming to teach us? That he holds like Rabbi Yossi. The pligi Rabbanan alea. The Rabbi Yossi is coming to teach me that Rabbanan argue on Rabbi Yossi. Umi pligi. Do Rabbanan argue on this? Mativ Rav Zakai zu edut heid Rabbi Yossi mipi Shemaya v'Avtalion ve'hodu lo. We have Rabbi Yossi said his halacha that the ubar causes the avadim not to be able to eat truma. He said in front of Shemaya and Avtalion, and they agreed to him. So you see that Chachamim don't argue; they agreed to him. So Amar Ravashi miktani v'kiblu. Ravashi says no. doesn't say they accepted his opinion. V'hodu lo katani. It says they agreed that the mistaber ta'ameh, that his reasoning makes sense, but not necessarily did they agree to him in practical halacha. Okay, Tanu Rabbanan. So let's say Braita. So Braita is continuing with the same topic, but clarifies everything. So Tanu Rabbanan. Hiniach banim. So let's say a Kohen was married to a Bat Yisrael, and the Kohen died, but he left children. No fetus. No, he didn't leave the wife pregnant. He just left children. So elu ve'elu ochli. Avadim that are avdei tzon barzel, that the husband accepted upon himself the value of those avadim, or avadim that were avdei melug, that they really belonged more to the wife and the husband. They weren't brought into the ketubah. The husband never accepted the evaluation of those avadim. So both of them could eat truma, meaning there's no ubar here. So the mother is able to eat truma because she has sons, and therefore her avadim could eat truma. And the avadim that are going to the other sons for the Yerusha, they could also eat truma because they belong to Kohanim. So everything is good in that case. Now, hinicha me'uberet. Let's say he left her only pregnant. Now, he didn't leave any sons. So the Kohen was a newlywed. The wife was pregnant. He passed away. So elu ve'elu ein ochlin. Both types of avadim cannot eat. She cannot eat because she doesn't have any living children. So the avdei meluk cannot eat. And the avdei tzon barzel also cannot eat, because there's no living children that they're a kinyan of. Hiniach banim vehinicha me'uberet. Now let's say he has both. He left her with living children and this ubar, this fetus. He left her pregnant and with living children. So avdei melug ochlim. The avadim that belong to her, they can eat because she can eat, because she has living children. So she can eat. Those avadim can eat. Kederech she'ochel. Avdei tzon barzel, the avadim that are avdei tzon barzel that belong to the yorshim, lo yochlu mibnei chelko shel ubar. They cannot eat because the ubar has a portion in those avadim, and we said anything that belongs to an ubar.
Ubar has all the portion.
No, the ubar splits the avadim with the brothers. This is a case where there's other living brothers and there's an ubar also. Let's say the guy has 10 avadim and he has 9 sons and an ubar, or whatever.
But we said before, if the lady bring anything from his father's house, it's belong. After that, it's belong.
There's
to her.
2 types of avadim.
Yeah.
There's avdei melug and avdei tzom barzel. Right? No, if the husband, they go to they go to the Yerusha, meaning let's say that's if she claims, I want this, give me this back. That's different.
We heard just the husband has the profit of the principal,
right?
But the principal is belong to the lady.
That's if she claims it back, she has a right to claim it back. But if she agrees that the husband will just pay her the amount of it, let's say it went down in value, she doesn't want to take the avadim, she doesn't care for taking the avadim, she doesn't pay me the money of it. So okay, in the ketubah she got paid the money of it, but the avadim go to the yorshim. It's only if she claims it and she wants it. She can decide. She can decide that she wants the actual nechasim, if they're the same value, or if she wants to pay up the value or whatever it is. But right, that's what we learned before. But not necessarily does she have to take it. She can leave it for the yorshim. So over here we're talking about that the yorshim have a portion in it. So now the ubar also has a portion, and therefore they can ansha. Ubar posel ve'enu ma'achil, because the ubar, he is posel, he can't, and enu ma'achil, he doesn't allow, he cannot be ma'achil truma to the avadim. Divrei Rabbi Yossi, that's Rabbi Yossi's opinion. Rabbi Yishmael b'Rabbi Yossi omer, Rabbi Yishmael b'Rabbi Yossi says, mishum aviv habat ma'achil taben enu ma'achil. A daughter will feed truma and a son will not feed truma. So the Gemara is going to explain later on what this line means. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai omer zecharim yochlu. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai says like this, okay? We're talking the case is that he left his wife with sons and he left her pregnant. So zecharim, if she has zecharim, she has sons, so then yochlu. Then even though she's pregnant, the avadim could eat truma, even though there's a fetus. Kulan nekevot, if they're all females, meaning she only has daughters from the Kohen, and she's left pregnant, lo yochlu, then the avadim cannot eat. So why? So the Gemara explains, Shema yimtza ubar zachar, maybe the fetus is going to be a male, ve'en lebanot bimkom ben klum, and the everything will belong to the boy, and therefore the Yerusha is could be going to the fetus fully, and therefore none of the avadim could eat. So the Gemara says, "My iriya shema yimtza ubar zachar tepukle de nekeva nami pasla." The Gemara says, "Well, why are we saying that maybe the fetus is going to be a girl? I mean, maybe the fetus is going to be a boy, and everything is going to belong to the fetus, and all the avadim are going to belong to the fetus. But even if the fetus is a girl, she's going to split with the sisters. If there's no other, if there's no sons, then the daughters go get the Yerusha, so the Ubar will also get part of the Yerusha." So Gemara says, you're right. Chada ve'od kamar. It's saying two reasons. One reason plus another reason. Chada de nekeva nami pasla. One is if it's a girl and they're all girls, she's going to split, and either way basically, whether it's a boy or a girl, it's going to have a kinyan, because all the other siblings are girls. So if the Ubar is a girl, it's going to split with them. If the Ubar is a boy, it's going to get everything. So no matter what, the Ubar is going to have a kinyan. Therefore, when the rest are all girls, for sure the Avadim cannot eat. Right? And even if it's not a girl, it'll be a boy. And the sons won't have anything. Okay, we're going to go a little bit further, just because we're in the middle of a thing. Zecharim yochlu. So we said if the guy has all sons, and then the wife is pregnant, so the avadim could eat. Now, why? Ubar, you have the baby, the fetus, that should cause the fetus should have a portion in the avadim, and it caused them not to eat. So the Gemara says, Kasavar, en chosheshin lemiuta. He holds we're not choshesh for the miut. Meaning, what's the right? Chances are he's not going to have the baby's not going to be a living boy, because 50-50, it could be a boy, it could be a girl. Now, even if it's a boy, there's also a chance that the child is not going to live. There's going to be a miscarriage. It's going to be a nefel. It's going to be a stillborn, which was common. So Rov says it's not going to be a healthy boy. So ein choshin lemiyuta. When there's other boys and she's pregnant, we're not choshesh that maybe it's going to be a boy that's going to be healthy, and therefore it'll cause the avadim not to eat. Or I could tell you that really choshishin lemiuta. Really, we are choshesh that it could be a healthy boy. But avdinan le takanta. But the reason that the child, the avadim, can eat is because we do this takana. Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel. We do like what Rav Nachman teaches. Rav Nachman Amar Shmuel, Yitomim sheba'u lachlok b'nechsei avihem. If you have Yitomim that are coming to split the portion of their father, their Yerusha of their father, Beit Din ma'amidin lahem apitropos. Beit Din appoints an apitropos, someone to be in charge of the assets and estate of their father, to split it up for the Yorshim. Uborer lahem chelek yafeh. And the apitropos, he vouches for them to get a good portion. Boker Tov. Higdilu yecholim limchot. If once they get older, they're able to be moche. They're able to.
Apitropos like executor.
I don't know what that is.
Like you have an executor of a will. Like if someone has a will, the person that's in.
It's more than that. He's not. He doesn't just execute the will. He vouches for him to have a portion. I mean, there was no will, let's say.
Oh.
It's just there's an estate here, or there's items to be split, and the brothers are splitting, and this yatom, the katan, the one who's under bar mitzvah, he doesn't have much of his own say. He doesn't really know what's going on. So Beit Din appoints for him an apitropos to get a portion also. So we're saying that's true for the fetus as well. Rav Nachman Didei Amar Higdilu ein yochlim limchot. The Chachamim say, Shmuel says that when they get older, if they're not happy with the portion, they can be mocha but Rav Nachman himself says they can't be mocha. So, right, because if you allow them to be mocha, so then Beit Din doesn't really have much power. So, what are we saying here? We're saying that this halacha of Rav Nachman is we're applying it here, and we're saying basically the ubar, this fetus, has an apotropos, and the apotropos they'll just arrange it in a way that the fetus will take from other parts. He won't get any avadim, and therefore all the avadim could eat. And that's why Rabbi Yossi says, as long as there's other boys, even if she's pregnant, the ubar will not have any portion in the avadim, and this is the reason why, because they're gonna put an apotropos. Apotropos is gonna take other possessions for the or even if they take avadim, but we'll know what belongs to who, and the avadim could eat. So the Gemara says, "Lema de Rav Nachman Tanaihi." So it sounds like there's a machloket about this halacha of Rav Nachman about appointing an apotropos, because Chachamim argue and they say that no. Chachamim held that the ubar stops the avadim from eating truma. So the Gemara says, "Lo, the kuli al me'elu de Rav Nachman." Everybody could agree to Rav Nachman's halacha. V'hacha b'choshin lemiuta kamiflig. Over here, the machloket would be whether or not we're choshesh it'll be a boy or a girl, right? So we'll end here. We're kind of in the middle of a breita, but I know it's not the easiest Gemara. It's a little bit tricky, but we'll hold it off here.
How many pedicures is this going to have?